I'm here today with composer Kate Moore. Kate, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
So tell me about how you take your popcorn.
Easy question. Salt.
Just salt.
Salty popcorn. Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah.
Do you make
preferably homemade?
Yeah.
Of course.
How do you make yours at home?
I do it in a fry pan with a lid.
Mm.
I don't do the microwave thing.
Yeah.
But I have in the past.
Yeah. So one of the things that we do at Kettle Corn, as you saw, is we serve popcorn in our concerts, and we're trying to sort of create a laid back experience. And so one of the questions we like to talk about is, what are some experiences you've had outside of traditional concerts that have been meaningful musical experiences for you?
Fittingly, the premiere of the piece, which was played at the Kettle Corn series with Lisa Moore, was premiered in a very unusual spot at Mount Stromlo, which is an observatory hill in Australia, one of the oldest, if not the oldest, and a big bushfire came through the mountain and burnt all the telescopes down, and then they were left with all these ruins of the telescopes, which were really fascinating structures of concentric circles and strange rusted through objects that we didn't know what they were because they were highly scientific equipment, and just so happens that that they've got really great acoustic as well. So the idea, it was for the Canberra International Music Festival, so the idea was to premiere my piece Slav Bjork here in one of the ruins of the telescopes, which kind of fit with the concept of the piece being about family heritage, Irish family heritage, and in the new world, I guess. Where
in the new world of Australia.
Well, the new world of Australia,
yeah.
Exactly. So we dragged a Steinway piano up the mountain into one of these ruins, and that's where the piece was performed.
Cool. You were telling me the other day that you live sort of a nomadic existence. How do you think that affects your work, or what role does that play in how you think about music?
Well, I find it really invigorating and inspiring, going from project to project and being in different places and environments. As a traveller, there's something that happens to your chemistry. I guess it's a little bit about survival. Like, you have to be so aware of what's going on just to stay protected or something, or like it's sort of like a really primal thing, or like a hunter-gatherer thing that suddenly life becomes more vivid, or you can see things more clearly, something like that. You're on the edge, or you have to stay on your toes, and I really like that cutting edginess. Something that I feel like it's addictive.
The feeling of being in a new place.
Yeah.
And outside of your comfort zone.
Outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
I seem to be very comfortable outside of my comfort zone, if that makes any sense at all.
I wonder how that works. Maybe we can talk a bit about the piece that Lisa played and the story behind it, or...
Well, when I got the commission, which was a very specific project for Lisa, and she was commissioning Australian composers with Irish heritage to create a piece, because she also has Irish heritage. She wants to create a project out of that, more or less a theatre piece for her as a performer. And of course, because we share a last name, I was on her list. So my family migrated a few generations before Lisa's family. We come from a similar area. We're sort of more or less Northern Irish, although my Moors also come from the Republic of Ireland, but they sort of sit on the border, which is the title of the piece, Slav Bjork, which means little mountain or small mountain, is a geographical place on the border of the two islands, which straddles the three counties that my family come from. So it seemed like a fitting title for the piece, because it simply points out that that's the starting point, that that's where they were uprooted and then hopped on the boat and went on this treacherous, crazy trip to a land that not many people really knew about, and with no idea of how they were going to survive, but just the fantasy that it might be better there. And of course, when they got there, it was a huge bare country, which was completely different from anything that they'd ever seen. Different flora and fauna, different environment, different temperature. It was dry. There was no water. There were poisonous animals, and and essentially they were dairy farmers, and they had to make it happen right from scratch. So the first part of the piece is a little song which is a tribute to my grandfather, and then the two reasons why I chose his story to focus on was partly because he passed away last year and I wanted to make a tribute to him. It seemed fitting, but also because he was sort of the last generation to employ those traditional techniques before many things changed. It was all horsepower and manpower. There was no mechanized equipment. This was before all of that, and I mean, and that's my grandfather's generation. It's so recent, and everything's changed since then.
Writing a piece like this, does it uncover something about you and your relationship to your family's heritage, or is it just kind of an interesting project? Or
I realized that I'm not Irish, and in fact I feel a little bit guilty for using an Irish name for the title of my piece, because I realized that someone a long time ago in my family came from there, but I'm so far removed from that, I really can't claim any ownership of it. It's like claiming ownership of something which really isn't mine. And I suddenly realized that, for one, I am a nomad through history and also my own history and my life. But that, in a way, makes me more Australian, because that's an Australian story. All of us arrived there somehow. Of course, you have indigenous culture there as well, and they were nomadic people. So the idea of kind of being on the move and surviving in the environment and in the elements, being survivors, being hardy and strong, it's a very Australian thing. And I feel very, now at this time in my life and through this project, I realise that that's my thing. I'm Australian. That was quite a long-winded way of... and it's very nice to meet Lisa, because in a way she comes from a very similar background to me, but she's just a little bit older, so it's like, even though we're not related, it's almost like she's a sister or something like that, or a cousin or something.
Even though she loves to say, we're not sisters.
We're not sisters, and we're not married yet.
Well, Kate, it was a pleasure talking. Thanks so much for joining us.
Cheers.